It's getting harder to breathe, even with the mask. Not the air exactly. There's plenty of that, filtered and recycled, pushing into my lungs with every forced inhale. It's more the weight, the crushing, goddamn weight of everything. I remember the day I signed up for this. April 3rd, 2042, the day after Leo's fourth asthma attack in a month. His tiny chest heaving, oxygen levels dropping to 72%. The hospital turned us away. Insufficient coverage for respiratory intervention. Sarah was screaming at the blank-faced receptionist while I stood there, useless, watching my son's lips turn blue. That's when someone in a sleek, charcoal suit handed me a card. Breathe Corp has solutions, it said. No qualification necessary. Just my signature on their contract, the same one that would later cost me everything, but I was too desperate to read the terms. They call me Mouthless. Ironic, isn't it? I used to talk for a living. Keynote speeches, motivational seminars, corporate retreats where I'd tell CEOs how to optimize their human capital and leverage synergistic potential. Bullshit, all of it. Empty words, hollow promises. And now I can't even whisper. The mask isn't a choice. Not anymore. It's fused to me. Nanofilament anchors threaded through my facial muscles, grafted onto jaw and cheekbone. The surgeons, or whatever butchering technicians the corporation employs, claimed it was necessary integration. Dr. Harrison, with her too wide smile, explaining how the C-Respire trademark system's neural interface needed direct bone conduction. The microscopic carbon filters, replacing my damaged alveoli. The voice box suppression module to minimize unnecessary oxygen consumption. They marketed it as an upgrade, made me sign the consent forms while I was still hazy from their preparatory sedation. My own reflection is a stranger, a monster. The helmet is dull gray, pitted and scarred like some ancient, unearthed relic. Rivets and wires snake across its surface, disappearing into the thick collar that seals it to my neck. The single, cyclopean eye glows a malevolent red, a constant, pulsing reminder of my condition. My enhancement, they called it. Like I'm some kind of goddamn superhero. There are tubes, too. One feeds nutrient paste directly into my stomach. Another takes things away. I don't think about that one too much. It's all automatic, all controlled. I'm a closed system. A walking, breathing biopod. Efficient. Optimized. Fuck efficiency. My shift begins at 0600 every morning. The helmet's interface jolts me to attention with a low voltage reminder if I'm even a minute late, whether I've managed to sleep or not. My assigned patrol sector today is Zone 4C. I still remember when it was the financial district, all gleaming towers and power suits rushing between coffee meetings. The corporation's daily objectives upload automatically, scan for unauthorized gatherings, identify air quality anomalies, report structural instabilities that might affect the remaining infrastructure. I walk the same 16-block radius, exactly the same pace each time. The ocular implant captures everything, catalogs faces against the permitted resident database, flagging deviations for central processing. The collar logs my vitals constantly. Heart rate increase triggers immediate review. 3 such emotional irregularities in 1 month means mandatory recalibration. I've been through that twice. Won't happen again. I remember our last day together. We'd managed to get clearance for Zone B's community park. A luxury then. Impossible now. Sarah was spreading a threadbare blanket on the dusty ground while Leo chased a ball across the yellowed grass. I'd just gotten my first breathing treatment, and the corporation's inhaler hung heavy in my pocket.
You made a deal with them?
Sarah said, her voice tight when I showed her the contract terms. For Leo, I said. Look at him. He can breathe out here because of their meds. Leo ran back to us, his laugh bright and clear as a bell, cheeks flushed with exertion instead of oxygen deprivation. Sarah's smile was forced as the sunlight caught the auburn highlights in her hair. She smelled like lavender, the synthetic kind, since real plants were luxury items by then.
They never just give something,
She whispered.
There's always a price.
4 days later, they were gone. All gone. They took them. The corporation said they were liabilities. I signed the contract, you see, the one that gave them ownership of my body, my mind, my very existence, all for a chance at a cure, a way to keep breathing in this poisoned world. A fool's bargain. I remember the protests at first. People marching in the streets, holding signs that read, "Clean air now," and "Corporate greed kills." I even gave a few speeches myself, back when I still had a mouth to speak with, rallied the crowds, whipped them into a frenzy of righteous anger. But the corporation was too powerful. They controlled the media, the government, the very air we breathed. They bought out the politicians, silenced the dissenters, and slowly, insidiously, tightened their grip on everything. And then came the purge. They called it a public health initiative, a necessary measure to contain the environmental contamination. But it was a slaughter. Anyone who resisted, anyone who questioned, anyone who simply couldn't afford the corporation's protective measures, vanished. Sarah and Leo, they were among the vanished, not random, not accidental. The corporation's records, which I accessed during a routine system update when my supervisor, a company lifer named Kent, logged out without properly securing his terminal, showed their designations, Leverage 1 and Leverage 2. They took them specifically to ensure my compliance. Now, I walk the deserted streets, a silent sentinel. My purpose, as far as I can tell, is to monitor the remediation efforts. Basically, I'm a glorified security guard, patrolling the ruins of what was once my city. My red eye scans for anomalies, deviations, anything that doesn't fit the corporation's sterile, controlled narrative. Sometimes I see others, shadows flitting through the rubble, scavenging for scraps. They scatter when they see me, terrified of the mouthless monster. I don't blame them. I'm a symbol of everything they fear, everything they've lost. But sometimes I see something else. A flicker of defiance, a spark of hope. A child's drawing chalked on a crumbling wall. A flower stubbornly pushing its way through the cracked pavement. A whispered prayer carried on the wind. And it makes me wonder, is it really too late? Is there anything left to fight for? The corporation took my voice, my family, my very humanity, but they didn't take my memories. They didn't take the rage that burns in my chest, the grief that claws at my throat. And maybe that's enough. Today, I saw something that changed everything. A small group of people, huddled around a flickering fire in the shadow of a collapsed skyscraper. They were sharing stories, singing songs, their voices weak but resolute. They were living. I should have reported them. My programming demanded it. The red eye pulsed, urging me to alert the central control, to summon the cleanup crews, but I didn't. I stood there, hidden in the shadows, listening to their voices, watching their faces. And for the first time, in what felt like an eternity, I felt something. A connection, a glimmer of hope. I recognized one of them. Stella Paquette, former environmental scientist. The corporation's database had her marked as eliminated 3 years ago during the Zone 6 purge. Yet there she was, very much alive, showing the others something on a cracked tablet. My enhanced audio receptors picked up fragments. Water filtration, underground network, growing season. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. I don't know if I can resist the corporation's control forever. The mask is a constant reminder of my limitations, my dependence. But tonight, I choose to believe. I choose to believe in the resilience of the human spirit, in the power of memory, in the possibility of redemption. I may be mouthless, but I am not silent. Not anymore. My actions, however small, will speak for me. I will be a witness, a recorder, a thorn in the corporation's side. I started deleting the logs, the automated reports that track my movements, my scans, my everything. It's a risk, a huge risk. If they find out, I don't know what they'll do, but it's a risk I have to take. I'm leaving this record, this confession, hidden in a secure cache, encrypted with a code that only I know. Maybe someone will find it someday. Maybe it will serve as a warning, a testament. Or maybe it's just for me, a way to hold on to the last shreds of my sanity, the last embers of my hope. The red eye is flashing, insistent. My programming is screaming at me, demanding obedience. But I ignore it. I turn my back on the deserted city, on the corporation's sterile, lifeless world. I walk towards the flickering fire, towards the sound of human voices. I don't know what awaits me, but I'm not afraid. Not anymore. I have something they don't know about. A data chip, tucked into a self-made cavity behind my artificial voice processor. On it, recorded evidence of every remediation effort, their sanitized term for executions. Every conversation between corporation officials I've overheard while they thought I was just a mindless surveillance tool. Every location of operating centers, safe zones, weaknesses. I am mouthless, but I will be heard. These people won't trust me at first. The red eye makes me a monster, but I have truth to offer, information, a way to fight back. For Sarah, for Leo, for the future. Maybe this small resistance is enough. Maybe it's only the beginning. This has been Mouthless. Thank you for listening.